to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call will show all members present here this evening in a single. We have an agenda in front of us. Are there any additions or corrections, Mr. Maya?
No, everything is good as presented.
Would entertain a motion to approve that agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Ms. Engel, seconded by Ms. Erke to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't know that we have any public comments this evening, is that correct?
Correct.
Then we will move right into the superintendent's report. Mr. Maya.
And then our three administrators are absent tonight, which turned out to be pretty nice, that we have our New Richland Area Foundation presentation tonight too. But all three have left some information on the slideshow, so you can update yourself with that. And I would encourage you to reach out to them, and if there's questions or comments based on their presentation or information they shared, please feel free to do so. I'll give my presentation or a couple bits of information to you at the conclusion of the foundation and their presentation. So I'll introduce Carla as one of the members, and she can do a better job of introducing things from there.
All right, yes, thanks. Yeah, I am up here right now as a member of the Richland Area Foundation, joined by Felicia and Kermit today to give out some money. It's always kind of weird for me in my position as that to be giving out money to us. But we're excited to be here to hand out close to $15,000. I think I showed you guys all the different grants. The school district alone is getting 60% of the over $25,000 that was granted this year. We're fortunate enough to team with the Curtis Swenson Family Fund. It's a donor-advised fund that operates under the same umbrella that we do. We're both under the Waseca Area Foundation. And between the two of us, we were able to give out over 70% of the total dollars that were requested. So we feel really good about that. Some of you might recall me explaining that Kurt Swenson grew up in my Vista neighborhood, graduated from New Richland, and his family has an interest in supporting early learning and reading. And we couldn't be more appreciative of their generosity because it makes our dollars go further. As for the Richland Foundation, since we visited you a year ago, we've been busy maintaining our section of the ditches, which start at the intersection of 13 and 30 in New Richland and go east. We were also fortunate enough to benefit from the 3rd annual Home for the Holidays concert featuring Gavin, Adam, Eva, and our new special guest this year was Ellen Johnson. I know a lot of you that are here tonight were at those concerts, so thank you for that support. They were fantastic. You can also continue to show your support by purchasing a paper flag. Gail and Betsy have been busy on that, trying to bring awareness to the foundation, get you to spend a little money, and then just get these flags all up over at the different businesses. So if you see those, spend some money. As for Felicia, look for her out at the golf course this summer. She's going to be promoting our group, selling some chances to win some money. So find her out at the golf course. But anyway, now to get to the most rewarding part of this board. It's giving away the money. So Felicia is going to start.
Hi, everybody. We have $2,250 to Angie for interactive display panel. Angie.
Angie, please tell us a little bit about the display panels.
I sure will. Thank you, Carla. And the Richland Area Foundation. As always, thank you guys so much. It is always great to get an email saying that we got the award, so that's awesome. This money will go towards interactive displays in our schools in the secondary building this year, because that's where our oldest ones are. They're probably close to, I was going to say close to 15, but they are 15, probably closer to 16 years old right now. So we've been throughout the past couple of years putting the new line interactive displays into our special ed classrooms, and I love them. I think the teachers love them. The reason I love them is because they are so seamless. I mean, you plug in or you go to the internet on them, and it's just so interactive. And there's not all these different pieces that you have to make work and you know, get it to go together. It's so nice. So you go from working on those to our smart boards with the projectors and everything, and it's kind of a pain. But so that's what's really nice about these, and the teachers do love them. So we are going to be putting them in. Actually, the $22.50, and happy to say that the cost of those boards have come down, and so that's kind of nice. But hopefully I'll be able to get a few more boards along with this money here to put into some of our classrooms in the secondary building. And it's kind of funny because Mr. Gilmeyer every year he says to me, "So you think I can get a new smart board this year?" And I'm like, "Well, it still works, doesn't it?" And so those things just keep on going. And so that's kind of nice, but we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to start replacing all of them, and so it's kind of nice throughout the years to just be able to replace a few of them at a time. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. It helps our budget tremendously. So
Excellent speech.
The next one is $1,500 to Laura for life skills classroom materials.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have a great speech plan. I was here last month talking about the life skills program, so this is just going to really help out for all of the different furniture and manipulatives and just all the accessories needed for a life skills program. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Next we have $600 that the Curtis Swenson family, they designated that they'd like to have the money go for books and stuff for young youth. And so that's what this here grant is from. And I don't know your name, so I can't say it.
Susan Nelson.
Sue Nelson.
Yeah. And I didn't have a speech plan either, but I wanted to be here to thank everybody for giving us the money for the library. We're going to use it for new farming books, I hope, and new, I guess, sporting books, or not, sporting?
Hunting and stuff.
Hunting,
Did you- Yeah,
fishing.
I thought these guys would appreciate the
Yeah,
farming.
something like that. They're very hard to find, and we, buy most of our books through Scholastic. And they do not run to special books for this area for farming and other books. So thank you very much.
The next one, we got $5,000 for the playground equipment that you're adding on to, I guess, and some supposed to be handicap equipment and stuff, so.
I am just accepting this. There's a lot of people on our committee that have been working pretty hard to get inclusive playground equipment. You want everybody that's out there to be able to play on some equipment. So we really appreciate the $5,000 that you have provided for us. Just a little information on it. It started a couple of years ago where we were just like, you know what? We need to do something to try to get some equipment that everybody's able to play on. So it kind of started with coins for change is what we called it, and we just had a challenge at school and had kids bring, we wanted to have it be coins so that kids didn't have to think, oh, I have to bring 20 bucks or a whole bunch because, we tell the kids every little bit counts, whatever it is. So we started with that and some of the other things that we've done. We did the color run this past fall, and that's something that we'd like to continue to do year after year, and hopefully we get enough money to buy the equipment that we would like, and we'll continue with that. that, and we know there's other things that the money can go towards. We have the holiday hangout vendor, that was pretty cool. We've had a lot of donations from local businesses. We've had the grain donation, Rick, I know you had done that. So there's really been a lot of things. It is not cheap, this equipment, as we probably all know. Right now, we've raised about $70,000, including this. Obviously, that's $75,000. We also have about $2,500 that'll come from the Richland Lions Club when they did the pancake breakfast. It was kind of cool. We had a lot of the kids that were helping at that. So $2,500 there. With the equipment that we bought so far, installation of it is actually about $20,000, so it's not cheap to do, but you want it done right. The equipment so far has been about probably $38,000, I'd say. Fortunately, we have Yulin Brothers. They are donating all of their work, all of their time to do dirt work. One thing we are looking for, put a little plug in there, is we just need some of the equipment that's out there now, like the slide, and there's some other pieces. We did ask for help for that at the pancake breakfast, but we didn't get too many offers for that. And basically what we would need is, it sounds like a skid loader to just help get the equipment out. Most of it, we're just gonna, hopefully we can get money from Woolies or somewhere. But after that, then Yulin Brothers will come in, they're gonna do all of the dirt work for free. And then at the end of June, then the landscape structures will come in and install what they have. So we have about $20,000 right now in our account. And the next item that we want to get is the sway fund. It's kind of cool. It's expensive. It's $35,000. Installation is $6,000. But there's a ramp that if you're in a wheelchair, you can independently go up on there. And you get in this big piece of equipment, and you can hook yourself in there with a wheelchair. And then there's other able-bodied kids that can be in there with you. So just everybody's together. So we thank you very much for your $5,000. That helps a lot. So thank you.
All right, next we have a $500 grant for Missy Dunn, and while she wasn't able to be here, she did send me something to read. Thank you to the Richland Area Foundation for its financial support for the high school special ed English classroom. Because of your assistance, my students get to explore new worlds, meet unforgettable characters, and perhaps even realize that reading a book isn't just something they need to do right before a pop quiz. When students are exposed to quality literature, their imaginations grow, their empathy deepens, their critical thinking skills develop, and they might even realize it's possible to read after high school and enjoy it. Thank you again. You've given us more than books. You've given us possibilities. Nice job, Missy. All right. Thank you. Next, $3,000 grant for Macy Whiteside, and she too wasn't able to be here tonight, but she did send. Thank you for your generous grant in support of our Panther preschool students and their families. Your contribution will provide qualifying families with partial or full tuition scholarships, allowing their children to attend preschool 2, 3, or 4 days a week. Because of your continued support, cost will no longer be a barrier to accessing quality early childhood education. We are truly grateful for your commitment to making preschool more accessible and equitable for all. Okay, good job, Macy. And then lastly, $600 scholarship for pre-K large motor equipment. Thank you so much for awarding Panther Preschool this grant to help us support our students' physical development. With this funding, we plan to purchase equipment like balance beams, scooters, cones, and stepping stones to promote coordination, balance, and teamwork through active play. This equipment will be used both indoors and outdoors during structured lessons and free play to help our children grow physically and socially year-round. We are excited to integrate these tools into our curriculum and ensure their long-term impact for future preschoolers. And lastly, Kermit's got one more to give out.
This is the $1,500 for Rich NRHEG Camp Panthers field trips and after-school programs.
I'm Katie Knudsen, just in case you don't know who I am. I teach first grade, and I lead the Targeted Services After School program. We call it Camp Panther. Throughout the school year, we meet every Wednesday. We generally have 50 kids at that on Wednesdays after school. And I also lead this summer school Targeted Services program, and that runs the month of July. So due to COVID, the after school program had a break, and we brought it back last school year, 23-24 school year. And we decided to do cooking classes with the kids, also with some math and writing, and SEL also has to be a part of after school programs, social, emotional cooperation, and learning games. And then this year what we did was a rotation, a rotation each month, 1 week of science, 1 week of art, 1 week of cooking, and then we were trying to find a field trip to go on once a month. So we found a pumpkin patch to go to this school year. We went to 2 theaters, one in Austin and one in Otana, the little theater of Otana, 2 greenhouses, and a tree lot. And so it was always kind of a challenge to find a destination we could go to that we could afford, and it was cheap enough to attend. And so receiving this donation will open more doors for us to be able to go and have more hands-on and real-world experiences. So thank you from myself and the kids and all the staff that helped me with Camp Panther.
Okay, so that's it for us. Like putting my business manager hat back on. This group appreciates, like with everything you get as a gift, thank yous. But with your email that you got notifying you came an impact report, and it says, try to get that back within 30 days of completing your project. Wendy, we know yours won't be done for a while, but they love pictures, and they love just hearing feedback back. Even if it gets to be 6 months into next year, like once your room is really going, they like that, right? Like before we meet again, they're like, whatever happened to those interactive displays? Do they still use them? So anyway, we're gonna just slide out and take a picture. You can continue. Sarah, thank you for helping with that.
Before we lose you though, I guess on behalf of the NRHEG district to the foundation, thank you. It is amazing year after year that you step up to the plate, and 70% of requests is wonderful. I realize, and I think we all do, that these things don't happen without good community volunteers, and it takes some work. So thank you from the bottom of our heart that you continue to support NRHEG, and we hope that you realize the value you're contributing to us. So thanks, and we'll see you next year.
You keep giving money to the foundation, we can give you more back.
Fair enough. All right, that was fun.
Good news, yeah.
Yeah, right. Nothing to it. If they heard about our budget deficit.
You got a right to it.
I think they're doing much.
All right, any board member comments that we would, or I'm sorry, Mr. Mayak, did you have anything?
Yes, I do,
Yes,
if you don't mind.
Jumped right around you.
A couple things. First and foremost, if you remember, a couple months ago, I asked for your approval or support, as Lauren had willing to put his name on the board of directors for South Central Service Co-op. And I'm proud to announce that Lauren was notified this last week that he was nominated for that position. So he'll start his 4-year term as a South Central Board of Directors member starting, it looks like, this summer or early fall. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Lauren.
Did we get something from them yet, or is this Lauren? Okay. I also have 2 items on our consent agenda. I don't want to pull them off the agenda, but I want to give you a little bit more information. The first one is a staff development budget. And again, we have a staff development fund district-wide. And from there, we take that and we divvy up with our staff development committee and determine how much is needed for certified staff to attend conferences and worksheets, for non-certified staff, for summer curriculum writing and the mentor program, and basically about 6 or 7 different categories that the money goes to. And again, this state funded 2% of our budget is required for staff development. In the past, it's been handled in a different way. Last year, I asked the committee to make a reduction to their allotted amount for those categories based on the amount that we've spent in the past. Really after COVID, that the certified staff and non-certified staff attending conferences is quite a bit lower than it was prior to COVID. Last year, they approved that budget. And what that, it does, it's not more money for the district, it's that same amount, let's say $120,000 from the state. And if we earmark into the staff development committee columns, if we know what that money is ahead of time, that frees up the other money, the remaining balance, to be used for, again, all the staff development days, the district-wide staff development, so on and so forth. So it's still going towards staff development, but not in those categories that the staff development committee oversees. I brought to them the same budget this year as last year, which again was reduced based on previous years, and again based on the amount of money that has been requested, that it remains low. So I kept that budget low, which again frees up money, so Carla can put that into the earmark it and put it into the coding it to the right categories for other staff development. So the committee did approve that proposed budget, and that's on the consent agenda for your approval. The second consent agenda item, again, some background information. It's the Iowa, the authorization for me to oversee the different access points and the different programs and forms and authorization from the state. Yearly, that has to be updated, and it's always been the superintendent, it's always been me up to this point. So again, that's just a formality for you to approve that. We'll sign the paperwork, we'll get it off, and we're set for another year. So back to my non-consent agenda items. There's been some questions. I just want to touch briefly on fundraising that takes place in the district, and there's been some conversations that took place this year, more so in the past. And one fundraising event in particular has caught the attention of community members and board members and staff members, that it's the Leading Edge fundraiser that really focused on soliciting donations via text or phone calls. And what I've learned, after hearing how this is operating and some of the questionable practices that were in play, and not by our staff, but by Leading Edge, that just as example, the first wave of solicitation that took place was mid-December, and I got a text that was asking for a donation to and this happened to be the Basketball Association. Football has used this fundraiser, basketball is using it, baseball has used it. It's a widely used format or program, but the first one that I received was mid-December asking for donations. And my first thought was like, not the best timing to seek donations, right before Christmas and the holiday season, and a pretty tough time for donations. Learned a little bit more too, that the information wasn't presented to the families. There was some question about, why are we doing all these fundraisers? Aren't we funding our programs appropriately? And then it turned out there was some continued questions on, again, now our students, grades 7 through 12, are again reaching out via text or via phone calls and asking for donations or asking for sales, and they're typically using their parents' phone, cell phones, which is under their name and the contacts and everything else. So there's some questions that way. We did have a request to have that fundraiser again in the spring. Actually, we had one request and one non-request that took place without the request being made, and that fundraiser took place. But we did have one request. It happened to be from Wendy Schultz in the softball, and Mr. Stork explained, like, we have some questions on this particular fundraiser. So, you know, the announcement was made to the principals and Mr. Stork, our activities director, that let's stay away from that one. There's just questions on that, and it just doesn't feel good right now. And in my mind, I'm thinking this Leading Edge fundraiser was just that, soliciting donations only. As it turns out, that's one of the compartments or one of the fundraisers that this company performs. The baseball one that took place was actually sales, but instead of only going door to door, they would initiate the conversation of selling meat sticks or cheese sticks or cookie dough or whatever the case is through a text message. And then a phone call is supposed to follow that up from the student saying, Grandpa, did you get that text? I sent you a text with an address where you can go on and make a purchase. That felt a little bit better than just kind of this cold, maybe unknown person reaching out and saying, hey, can we get some money for our program? What I also learned today in the conversation is most fundraisers, or many fundraisers, according to this coach, are transitioning to a kind of this text messaging, phone message format, that there are still door-to-door sales, but they're becoming less and less, which is probably a good thing too, if we look at safety and just sending our kids out to knock on sometimes doors of people that we don't know or don't know who they are. My conversation I had with Mr. Kruger, who was asking to do this again in the fall, and he kind of really started this with football, is you know, if we continue on with this, I don't want to see that cold text phone call to everyone in your contacts, you know, blasting this information out, just requesting money. That if it's done if it's part of a sales, that again, let's continue the conversation. It's not a hard no. But let's also get some rein and some control over who the contacts are that the text or the phone messages go out to. Let's make sure that if I don't send that text, the program is going to send the text for me, if I like it or not, if I'm wishing to participate or not. That was a discovery this spring that.
So the students actually put the phone numbers
Right.
into the system. So what happens is, hey, we're starting a fundraiser. Students, here's your access point. You put in phone numbers for the people that you have in your contact list.
That was without parent knowledge.
Well, the parents kind of know it, but
No.
This
I mean,
one didn't have.
not everybody did. It depends on the students if they're conversing with their parents about these fundraisers and really most of them don't anyways. But then the text messages go out, and it does say, this is Jace Erkey. I have a fundraiser for baseball. I can pick on him if it's mine. But, and then there's a link to it, and then you donate it. So when you go to that link, it looks a little bit like a GoFundMe type of thing, where it says your top contributor, and it says Amy Erkey gave Jace $500 or $100, whatever it was I gave or whatever I didn't give. So there is a little, the students do have that, but then I think there was some discrepancies that inner system that sent out those basic tests went back into history from last year and sent out texts saying, hey, we see that you've helped out in the past, will you help us out again?
Right.
I think there was just maybe some hiccups that,
Well,
there wasn't any permission to do that.
If you
End of it?
if you try to get a hold of somebody, you know, Grandpa Joe, and he didn't answer, they would leave like a message, or even if he did answer and he didn't give you anything, then they automatically call him back after a time and ask again.
I never received any phone calls,
No,
I just got received text messages and emails.
Well, retext them and ask
Yeah.
why they haven't, is what I
And
mean.
some groups communicated and advertised this much better than other groups did. And so that was part of the concerns or the comments that were heard. In addition to that, again, especially administrative wise, we're having conversations on why do we have so many fundraisers? You know, sign me up, I'm just as guilty. I was, you know, as DECA, we were seeking funds and sending letters to businesses that would support DECA. So we all do it. And the more we do, the question comes up like, again, my goodness, what do you need these funds for? And you know, don't just try to build a savings account for what if, but again, have a purpose, have a direct goal in mind, and a stated goal with stated funds, and then again, you're required to use those funds. Carla's in charge of our student activity accounts, which differ from booster clubs, and we have a lot of great areas with booster clubs that are overseen by coaches and using our players and our athletes and our students, our fine arts people, as the booster club salespeople for this product or whatever. And in my mind, if it's our coaches using our students to do this is more of a student activity than it is a booster club. And I think in some essence, it's better to have booster clubs in charge, not the head coach booster club, but that booster club with a board and a checking account and all that, and keeping that money out of the district, and not having one more thing that we oversee. So we're working on that sort of thing as well, just to kind of clean up and on that request form, without the request form, there is no fundraiser, and if you do it in the wrong order, there'll be conversations about future fundraising events. But so that's being looked at, and we're collecting more information. Again, how can the communication improve if we continue on with this leading edge, that we won't do the cold sale, the cold text seeking donations, that there will be a text but followed up with a phone conversation after all the parents are aware. There won't be any automatic push outs. It won't be a list of everyone in your contacts. It might be a select few, you know, if it's family members, whatever the case, but cleaning that up and trying to have some more, reining that in so it's not so sloppy. And then we can also explain to our community and to our board members that the conversation I had this morning was with Mark Kruger, the head football coach. And he raises quite a bit of money, and it's for a football camp that they go to. It's for the meals, the sandwiches and juice and stuff after the game, after the players had their football game. He donated or purchased some equipment that the school had purchased. If it was a sled machine, he wanted a chute, or if it was a chute, and we needed a sled. So it, you know, benefited the district that way too. But so it's not buying helmets, and it's not buying footballs, and it's not buying uniforms. It's for some extra things that go above and beyond the budget that we have for different activities. If it's athletic or fine arts or co-curricular, that there is good reason, but again, let's not get out of control on that either. That again, some closer attention and some reining in is needed on those fundraisers, and we're working on that. Questions or comments on that?
Appreciate you addressing it though, because you're exactly right. The community has been talking about that.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Their tongue is kind of hanging out on.
We've made some progress over the last couple of years, but there's coming more and more progress that's needed as more and more is being done. Quickly, we have Amy signed up right now to be part of our commencement ceremony and handing out diplomas. And Amy will sit with her family during that ceremony and come up at the right time. So if we had a second board member, we'd welcome that if anyone's interested and available. Kelly? Very good. So can you Sue notify, I think Annika's the one that's doing up the program, enlisting the board members and communicate with her. But Kelly will help with that, and you have a place on stage if you want that from the start, or you can get your picture in 100 backgrounds of different pictures. Or you can come up at you can come up and sit with your family and come up at that time too, so. And then lastly, on my report, a month or two ago, Dr. Jeff Horton from Southwest Metro came in and met with us, or talked with us. It must have been 2 months ago. I believe we were in this, what I'm remembering, we were here in Ellendale, just giving us some background and some changes that are taking place with Southwest Metro, who we use as part of our SPED services, our special education services. Some more things are happening, and there's some more developments as far as the physical location that we'll have our Southwest Metro students housed at. Currently they're in the Waseca district at the central office on Old 14 there, and that's not an ideal placement for the students. It's their ALC, and they have some preschool or younger student programs there. They have the level 4 Southwest Metro, and they have students that damage some rooms and take off, and then they have to set the alarm off that they have a student moving, and it interferes with the other programs taking place, and more space is needed by the district for this and that. So in conjunction with WEM's potential closure of their Morristown building, Southwest Metro is looking at purchasing that building to house different programs that they have, including our programs, and moving some of the programs that we might be, or we have in the past, sent kids to Jordan, that which is obviously a pretty good travel a distance, and that could be housed down in the Morristown, which would cut down the travel depending on the location of the family and whatnot. But as part of this co-op, or as part of this intermediate district, this special education district, we kind of go along with what they give us. We're not full-fledged members yet. They might require us to be, which would have a higher price tag to receive their services and more services available. But with this purchase as well, there would come a cost to that for our district to chip in, kind of based on our enrollment, the cost of the purchase. And a lot of that conversation was pretty in-depth, and they're looking at setting up, have you gotten an invite for a meeting with Southwest and kind of go through how that looks, which would include some levy opportunities, or levying for additional funds that we do have available, so it wouldn't come out of our general fund, but it would come out of, unvoted on property tax increase. The initial numbers that they're looking at right now are about $20 per year for a $200,000 home in our district. So it's rather small that way. I think the ag land was looking at maybe a $200 a year increase with this levy. So obviously that's something that you as a board will be presented all the details on, and we'll have to make that determination. And part of me says, if we're going to be part of this service, this district, we kind of are stuck. That we can't provide those services on our own. If we did, it would be much greater than what we're paying to the service, and it might be, we are the southernmost district that's part of this, and it's not the most. Waseca is very convenient for us. Jordan is not convenient. Morristown is less convenient than Jordan, but
You mean more convenient?
more convenient than Jordan, but less convenient than Waseca. And so, again, part of it is we kind of have to accept that as part of this and the services we're required to provide, or we start looking elsewhere at potentially joining a different SPED district or organization. You know, there's some in the Cass-and-Manaville area. There's one in Faribault, there's the one that we're part of. We're looking, and Jeffrey is, Wagner, our SPED director, is more involved in kind of poking around at that too. That is Albert Lee or, you know, any place to the south or even to the west more convenient and more logical than the co-op that we have right now with Waseca, JWP, and WEM. So put that on your radar, and again, that's just kind of in a nutshell, quickly what you should be putting on your radar and be
When do
thinking
we have
about.
to have that, when do they wanna know, or when does that start, or?
There'll be a meeting in early June that will include the superintendents and business managers that understand that levy part, and then Jeffrey's willing to, or Dr. Horton, Jeff is really willing to come down and have more discussions with you to explain some things, and that'd be looking at probably June and July board meetings, and then some final determination, maybe August or September. And in the meantime, kind of poking around to see what other options are out there for us.
That's really gonna affect Dan's situation too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Morristown isn't brutal though, actually. I mean, I don't
That-
think, Morristown isn't a ridiculous trend really
No,
from our.
no, I don't think
our
it is
district.
either. But I don't think it's a bad idea to figure out
Right,
what are other options. Casson isn't any more ideal than Jordan or
Right.
Morristown.
right.
right.
Albert Lee was probably more ideal if that's the situation, you know, if that's a thing, you know, where's Wells and Alton Conger going? You know, 'cause they're not far from us either.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see.
Are we
what their options
satisfied
are.
with their
No, and that's the other factor too, that
Just wanna know, like,
this is contingent on this water, WEM's board deciding to,
South building?
well, transition their existing students from that building to the high school, which there's more than enough room, and their enrollment projections allow for it. And so, obviously, the community connection with the building and the school, that this is, you know, maybe a compromise for their district, that a school remains in their community. It might not be the school as they've known it in the past, but there are students coming in and using the facility for a school. And,
You
you know,
wouldn't
all
be
that's,
looking at start this in September timeline anyways, probably. That sounds super fast.
right, yeah, I don't believe there's anticipation that would be for the 26, 27, or 25, 26 school year.
So how many students do we have participating in the Southwest Metro programs?
If you look at Dan's transportation, there's one van with 6 students are going to the Waseca facility, or Waseca location. That's a good question that I was asking too, and, maybe the 4th, the 5th page. The driver is Pam Coyer, the para.
Yep.
Those students are, you can see, are going to CIS transition 501 East Elm Street in Waseca. And that's part of the Southwest Metro. I don't believe we have anyone going to Jordan right now, do we, that student had graduated?
So you know for sure that both so there's passages is different than transitions. So transitions is 18 to 21-year-olds, and we believe everybody's going.
I believe so. And last year, maybe a year and a half ago, again, as Waseca is considering what's best for their district and giving up the space and leasing the space out and whatnot, again, which we pay for as part of our collaboration with this Southwest Metro, there was consideration for different areas or empty building spaces in Waseca. One was the little strip mall there by, what is it, Pizza Wagon or Pizza Ranch. It has a wagon as a logo, maybe. Dollar Store, Dollar Tree. There was a empty space in there that could be converted, that obviously had a price tag, and, probably, you know, the biggest question I have, again, and maybe Carla can answer this on the spot, that if we are contributing to the purchase of this facility, I think we would have X amount of ownership
Right.
of that, and if it's sold in the future, or, you know, how is that?
Right. Valued on that.
Buildings or land is typically an investment, and there's some
Not even that, but when you have to do repairs.
repairs, which is still the case. We've been billed several times for
Right.
remodeling and repairs to the Wasika facility that we
You have
use.
to just be a lease contract. But
I think if we're able to levy it, it's a lease for us, so I don't know who's gonna hold the title. If Southwest Metro
Yes.
buys it from WEM
So what about if
and
they,
we lease, I don't know.
what about if they have to do some,
Major
major?
So for example, Wasika
You know-
Schools take us a few years back for $6,000 to remodel. So, you know,
Yeah.
we no more than sent that check and they're like, yeah, we might be moving. I'm like, well,
Right.
we want that $6,000 back, and that
Yeah.
business manager left, and now he's in New Ulm, and, you know, I mean, 6,000 now is.
Right,
But
but I mean,
still.
they could be
history,
making,
But it was the point.
Yes.
Right, we just paid for that remodel, and
Right.
then now you're.
But I suppose that's our opportunity to go shop if we're disappointed.
Yeah.
That was my next question, how satisfied are we with the service of Metro?
Yeah, I don't think there's been concern about that.
Yeah.
Convenience-wise, again, being as
Right.
far south as we are compared to JWP and at least Janesville and Waseca and Waterville, Elysian and Morristown, that, and again, that could change every year, that the number of special ed students that we have and where they live within the district, that some of that convenience or lack of convenience could change, and, so service-wise, I don't think there's really been issue. Probably the biggest concern, and that would be across the board for all special ed co-ops or special ed service centers like this, is just a bit open spaces and staffing. That are they staffed fully? Do we have students on a waiting list? And so on and so forth. Now with this facility in the Morristown building, there's a lot of available space, and that question, I asked that question too, that if we have students and now you have the space, are you able to, you know, without a money back guarantee, you know, feel comfortable that you can staff the facilities appropriate and there will be no more waiting lists? And again, the answer was like, well, we can't guarantee it, but we're very comfortable with that anyone that works in the Wasika facility building right now through Southwest Metro is under a Southwest Metro contract. Southwest Metro is a metro district paying metro wages, and so those wages are quite a bit different than the local districts as far as what they pay their teachers and their paras, and so that's attractive for, you know, in that aspect, that typically the advertisement goes out, and most of their facilities are in the metro area. They have a facility or a building that they lease from Tri-City United, and I think it's in the center. Obviously Jordan is more metro-ish than Tri-City United or WEM, but they do in Wasika that they do branch out, but they have the ability to pay a higher wage and attract metro educators that would travel to those not too far locations.
I'm sorry if you said this, but will any of those programs come down to Morristown? Or-
Potentially, yes.
Okay, like, cause what I think of with them is I think of EBD and I think of 18 to 21. So when we had a level 4 autistic student, they really didn't fit that. So I just didn't know if any more of those will be housed there.
And that's kind of always the case. If we have a student that needs or requires level 4 setting, but our cooperative does not have room for it, we can look out and potentially send that student to the CAS, is it MVED or whatever the case is. If they have an opening and our district is willing to transport and that family's willing to have their student transported that extra distance, that's always the case. There are other districts, again, I forget the title that is housed in, or stationed in Faribault, with Faribault and Medford and Northfield and Kenyon, Wanamingo, I believe, again, same type of a thing, that there's often a waiting list there. That'd be pretty convenient to jump over to Morristown, but for Faribault, it would be maybe not for Kenyon, Wanamingo, or for Northfield, but so those, those factors would be considered. So, again, just kind of some tip of the iceberg information, the things that are coming down the pike, and more conversation and more information will be shared, and we'll look at joining along or looking elsewhere and doing what's best for our district. All right, with that then, that concludes the superintendent report.
This is like nobody was even gone. We weren't missing anyone.
Right, ate up their time.
No, thank you. Any board member comments this evening? Some of you made the Wizard of Oz play.
Yes.
I understand it was a great performance.
It was
Want to
wonderful.
brush on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Good.
No, it was really fun to see. It was really fun to see the kids enjoy doing it, and the audience really interacting and laughing, and yeah, it was really good.
Good. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed seeing Sue get her award at the FFA banquet. That was pretty nice. FFA banquet, your honorary.
Well
Yes.
deserved.
Yes.
Good. All right. Next regular meeting will be Monday, June 16th over in Richmond at the Secondary School Media Center. Takes us to the consent agenda items. Mr. Mayock, please.
Our regular disclaimer for our consent agenda is that all school board members have been provided with background information for the items listed on the consent agenda. These items will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, we'll pull it out of the consent agenda and vote on it separately. Before I ask for your approval though, we'll go through our list of donations this month, and many of them were discussed here as part of the New Richland Area Foundation, again, with the total of $14,950, so much appreciation for them. Some other donations that were received this year, we had Mary Ann Schlake with a $30 donation for our playground fund. We had 2 anonymous donations for our playground fund, one in the amount of $50 and one in the amount of $20. Keene Bank had a $153 donation for our kindergarten smoke-free t-shirts. Steele County made a $3,000 donation for a swing, if that's part of the inclusive playground, I would believe. We had a $500 donation, again from Keene Bank, for our playground fund. The city of Geneva had a $500 donation for community ed, youth rec, and preschool programs. And I guess that was the last of them, in addition to the area foundation. So a grand total of $34,153 was donated this month. And our year-to-date total is $93,589.12. So with the recognition of our donations and our generous donators, I'd ask for your approval of the consent agenda as it is presented.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Tyers, seconded by Mr. Schoenrock to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the workforce, we have the probationary non-renewal paraprofessional. Mr. Mayock, please.
Yeah, I'd ask for your approval on the non-renewal and the accompanying paperwork that has to go along with this sort of thing. Without too many details, that as a probationary staff member, we just have to have board approval, and the contract outlines the different requirements for a probationary non-approval, which we meet those. So again, I would ask for your approval in the non-renewal of our probationary paraprofessional.
Is there a motion, please, for that?
I'll move the resolution related to the renewal of our paraprofessional contract, of our probationary paraprofessional.
That's a twist, that's a lot of. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Ms. Tyre to approve the non-renewal of the paraprofessional that is probationary. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed?
It says roll call vote.
Oops, excuse me. Thank you.
Maybe probably have both of them, maybe. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that too, but
Nope,
is a roll
appreciate it.
call required on both?
Of course.
Okay, Kelly,
The-
David, what?
This would be for the current one, and then we'll go back and revisit the vote for the probationary.
This is the probationary.
I'm sorry, I'm reading ahead to the
Nope.
next one.
No, we're on the probationary
apologize.
non-renewal of.
I gotta have this.
Yep, no problem. It was my mistake there. It is a roll call vote. And Ms. Engel, would you lead that, please?
Kelly De La Cruz,
Yes.
Terry Engel, yes. Amy Erke,
Yes.
Aaron Phillips,
Yes.
Lauren Shainrock,
Aye.
Pat Tyre,
Aye.
Rick Schultz.
Aye. Moving on now to the employee assignment change in FTE, Mr. Mayak, please.
Okay, getting myself back on track, and again, with this next one, it's a roll call wouldn't be needed because it's a reduction based on enrollment, and it's a non-union at-will employee, but due to enrollment, again, our reduction in our EL specialist services, we're looking at reducing that position from a full-time position to a .3 position. And so I need your approval on making that reduction. As a side note, and it was just clarified in an email that came in late here, that keeping a full-time EL specialist is important in our district. For the last 2 years or 2+ years, it's been a full-time position, but again, based on our enrollment and the needs of the students, that it doesn't need to be a full-time student next year. It could easily switch to a full-time position at any point. And so our goal is to keep this Cynthia as a full-time employee, and so she'll be assigned, her EL will be reduced from a 1.0 to a .3, and then she'll be assigned to a .7 para, a special ed para. And the question that we had at first was, is that a position that we have to post and interview for, or do we have the managerial rights under the contract just to make that assignment, even with a non-union member being assigned to that position for the reasons I explained, and Brian Triplett, the union rep, responded back that yes, that's within our managerial rights. So as a side note, Cynthia will be reduced if you make this approval, and then she'll be assigned some special ed para duties to keep her as a full-time staff member, especially in the case that we've needed for more EL services. So this motion is for your approval to reduce the at-will employee from a 1.0 to a .3 EL specialist.
I'll make a motion to approve the FTE of employee of the English language paraprofessional to a .3 for the 2025-26 school year.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Erke, seconded by Ms. Tyre to approve the employee assignment change in FTE as presented. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? No, roll call, sorry, jumping the
No,
gun
we
here.
don't.
No, I think
Oh,
on this
oh,
as
okay.
a non-will,
Yeah.
that it's a.
Okay, got it, all
It's
right,
not a non-renewal,
got
it's just
me.
a reduction.
jumpy.
No, I made that mistake before, it made it confusing, so.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll get it right here. Maybe we'll clean it up on the superintendent evaluation here. Mr.
They
Mayak?
strict on that one, huh?
Right.
No action is required on this, just again for public record that it is that time of year again to start planning and scheduling for my yearly evaluation. Typically that's taken place through Terry and her form that would be passed out, and then sometime late in the summer or early in the fall that we would have that added to our board agenda. So again, no action, just as a reminder and making note that that needs to be coordinated.
Appreciate that. We will work together, right, Terry?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your
You're welcome.
encouragement there. Moving on to the bus garage roof, we seem to have a plan put together here, and we're excited about that plan, and thank you to the people involved in making that happen. So, Mr. Mayak?
Not much in addition. We did table this quote due to some last minute insurance questions that came up last month, and Tyler Firm, our insurance rep, and has done his due diligence and secured a insurance policy, and which enables us to use Timberland Construction or Timberland Builders with the lowest quote for the bus garage fixes to the roof. And so it asks for your approval to hire Timberland Builders for that bus garage roof project.
Yeah, that was cost of the bid or the insurance?
38.6 for the bid.
Yeah, and the insurance was about $1,000-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's perfectly fine, but you should know what you're approving here, so that if there's any questions, that it came in at 38.6 from them, and that I understand about it. Yes, yeah, and about $1,000 premium for 30 days, so we're very happy to move forward with that.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good news.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the bid for the bus garage repairs from Timberland Construction, not to exceed $38,600.
It's 40.
40.
Says 40.
Oh, I didn't read that, I was reading 40,000, I meant my motion, I'm sorry. I wasn't reading that, I was reading the invoice.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Herkey, seconded by Mr. Phillips to approve the bus garage
I see.
roof, moving forward with Timberland quote. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And it is the time of year where we need to approve the graduation class of 2025. So, Mr. Maya?
Yeah, it is exciting that we've come to that time of year, and this list of students, this group of students has worked very hard to get where they are as far as their education goes. And so you were provided a list of, I believe, 55 students. On that list, it's students that are slated for or working towards the completion of their requirements, and with the hope of completing them within the next 8 school days. So I would recommend to the board to accept the list of students on track to graduate at our upcoming commencement ceremony.
I'd like to make this motion. Since I've got to work with many of these kiddos, I will motion to accept the lists for the graduating class of 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. D. LaCruz, seconded by Ms. Engel to approve the graduation class of 2025 as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Concludes the business portion of the meeting this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Ms. Tired to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for your